Hey guys, what is going on? How is everybody doing? It's a lovely hazy day here in Seattle. It's about 82 degrees right now, and sun coming from the upward position, which is good. It's where it should be. How's everybody doing today? Fish and Tactics, hello, Lumpy Dog, what's going on? Uh, Son of a Quack, hello. Supreme Leader Army. There's an interesting one. I like that name. Why do my fish sometimes curl and tuck their tail underneath themselves? Well, today this stream is all about you guys. I just want to answer questions and stay on track the best I can because, you know, I'm my normal meandering rabbit trail, rabbit hole, black hole. Black hole is probably the best description of the side whatever the side stories that end up coming out. But today I am going to attempt for the first time in front of a live audience to answer your questions thoroughly. The reason the shrimp do that is they're actually stretching their so there's two reasons they do it. They're stretching their exoskeleton, their shell. And so they either do that when they have a brand new fresh exoskeleton shell. And what they're doing is, since it's slightly elastic when it's new, and then it cures over time and hardens into basically armor for them, they're making it so that it fits every bending motion they possibly could make. So they're basically, it's kind of like wearing a suit of armor before they cinch it down and tailor the under padding to the person. And then when they're at the end of their cycle, the every month or 2 months, so it just depends. When they're young, it can be every few days when they're really young. But they take you'll see them fold themselves in half and kind of do that, or they'll kind of lay on their back slightly and they'll have their tail out and they'll kind of roll their head towards their first row of shrimp. I don't know, legs. Why am I not thinking of? You'll have to pardon me today. My brain is a little bit scrambled as far as like memory words, verbalizing things goes. Swimmerettes. That's the word I was looking for. Start, and that is when they're trying to literally crack their shell. Their shell has become a little bit brittle. As it hardens to a point, and then towards the end of its cycle, basically the brittleness starts to allow micro cracks to occur, and it's their task to try to you'll see them dart around. Sometimes they'll just flick off a surface, and when they do that, they straighten out for a minute, and that will move them and their armor unlike it usually moves. And also when they are curled up, then what they're trying to do is they're trying to break a solid space right behind their head, and it's called the shoulder of the shrimp. But right at the shoulder, where the head and body meet, is where they are trying to get a split. And once they get a split there, then they can actually crawl out through that split. And all shrimp, if it's a successful shedding of their exoskeleton, you'll see that the little sheds look like an empty little shrimp or a hollow shrimp that has a split right at the shoulder and head. If it doesn't, it's very likely that piece of their exoskeleton got stuck on and they didn't manage to slip out in that one movement. Got my Dr. Pepper. Tastes good, nice and refreshing. Not paying me, they should be. Let's see here. We got lots of folks rolling in. Good to see everybody. Let me try to keep up with you. That's my new challenge for the day. The dang universe just reset again. This time they changed one of my t-shirts. Oh boy. What's up, Ian? How are you doing? Techno Allah, hello. You want to set up a CRS tank? Right on. Laura Sutton, hello. Dang, man, so many streams going. Who else is streaming right now? I guess I didn't know that. This is when I usually stream. Hello, I just got back from my vacation to Oregon. Sadly, I didn't get a chance to check out Wet Spot in Portland. Maybe next time I can go to Washington to check out Aquarium, Co-op, and Zen. Biscotti, yeah, you should definitely do any and all of those things. You'll get a kick out of it. And if you want, I can give you a tour of some of the local spots if you hit me up. Jason C, what's up? Fish Dreams, how's it going? Actually, that's an interesting question. Is Bong water good for an aquarium? Now, it sounds like a silly question, but when we think about it, liquid carbon, not the worst thing for water. It's not super helpful usually in the short term. It's a little bit of a misnomer. I mean, it will soak up some toxins and things if it was charcoalized, or rather if it was heated without oxygen present, which is that's how you get activated charcoal or activated carbon. But nevertheless, it still is a porous kind of brittle, spongy honeycomb structure under a microscope, and that is primarily that tar and other hydrocarbons, or carbons, I guess, organic carbon compounds, are a lot of what's left over in that water if you were to do such a thing, as well as there's basically just nasty bits of chemicals that probably aren't meant for your fish to have. But I'm guessing, if you had a big tank and you put a few ounces in it, nothing would happen. I don't think the fish would notice anything either. That being said, it's not water soluble either, really. The active chemicals that would be impacting your fish, but we don't know. There's another 400 chemicals in the marijuana plant, so I guess there's a chance that some of those could be good or bad. But when it's ignited into flame or fire, and you get all the burning, you really get rid of a lot of the things, and so you're kind of down to the carbon. But even if you had the smoke that you have, when you pull it through the water, it only bonds to lipids, and that's why people cook it into like butter or olive oil or things like that before they put it into other things like cookies or brownies. So there shouldn't be much of it in the water, other than if some fell in or got pulled through. So whether or not it was a joke question, I honestly don't think it'd be that big of a deal. It might have some tannins. My guess is it's probably pretty acidic, if it's real dirty, but I don't see why you would do that. Heat and Aquatics, just finishing my evening shift in the pub kitchen. All right, well, you have a good one. Melissa L, any opinions on having 2 photo periods per day? I want to see my tanks in the morning and when I get home for the day. No need for lights when I'm at work. Yeah, that works fine. The main thing is you need to set them so that you have at least 90 minutes of photo period, and not more than 3 cycles a day, or you'll start to actually speed up the metabolism of the plants a little bit. And not that that's the worst thing ever. I know people who've tried to quickly grow plants that way, but it kind of tricks them into thinking that the days are shorter, and it can throw off their circadian rhythm, which then can kind of stunt their growth, or it can encourage their growth if they have everything just right in their water. But if not, then they kind of get a little mixed up in what's going on. So I think it's no problem whatsoever if you wanted to do it 3 hours in the morning and 5 hours at night, or however you want to do it, split it up. And in fact, I do the same thing myself from time to time. So I think that's a good question, but also good good subject to bring up because a lot of people want to know the same thing. Is active substrate required for Corydoras crystal red shrimp to keep pH acidic? So no, it's not. It depends on your water. It depends on your water quality. So your water quality, if you have completely neutral water, or if you're using RODI water, distilled water, bottled water that's drinking water that's been osmotically filtered or something, then it doesn't really matter. The substrate, you've got kind of a neutral point anyways, and so you can add additives to the water that are in liquid form, like they sell them even at like Petco, they have them now. But you want to add, you know, so your KH is, I think it's like 4 to 8 or something like that, and your GH, off the top of my head, I think it's 3 to 5 or something like that, is where you would want it. And then you just want the water, if you can, slightly acidic, but neutral has never really hurt anybody. As far as fish go, neutral is usually fine if you can't meet the requirements. But the thing that you want to be careful of is the swings. So that's why you want a little bit of the KH in there too, is so that it evens out, so that it can have that carbon that can also lend electrons if need be, when you get swings due to an influx of oxygenation, or if you have CO2 running, or things like that. Now, granted, you don't usually shift those parameters wildly, but during a water change you could. So that's where it comes in handy to have a substrate that's active. I always recommend, and I think I have a link somewhere in the description, might even be like one of the last links if I think about it, but Brightwell Substrates does a good job because they kind of built their substrates around the idea of shrimp and keeping shrimp as the focus of that system, and then you can kind of work from there. Bert's Books, hello. Joshua Stover, hello. Howdy. Eric, hello. Yeah, no problem. Happy to give advice. Son of Quack, how do you feel about sun for plants? I get indirect sun, and it seems like seems my new Wisteria rotala ludwigia grow bright new shoots, but also turn brown and yellow. So yeah, the thing about sun is, unless it's direct sunlight and you have all the right nutrients and carbon available, they can't use the direct sunlight. Now, indirect is a little more of a catch-22 and a little more complicated in that, yeah, it's great for plants, but it's also great for algae. So you can have all your nutrients and things right there, right where they're supposed to be. And if the indirect sunlight is hitting while your photo period, or your light on your tank anyways, is supposed to be off, if it's still getting indirect sunlight of any kind, like if you were doing a split photo period and in the middle of the day it's supposed to be off, or for instance, if your tank's supposed to be on 8 hours a day and you still have 5 hours of sunlight, that period with the extra sunlight is pretty much going to lend itself to algae. And so that's why you want to ideally you want to just have kind of a main light on, and if you have indirect light on your tanks, that's fine. But what I would do is get low light plants for that, and then for them, that's the equivalent of kind of a highlight for that low light category, if that makes any sense, like moss or Java ferns, so Wassertong, even sword plants work well. But that's what I'm doing in my fish room, right? Where is it? Right here. The sun comes in directly on a few tanks and indirectly on a bunch of them in the first few hours of the day, and I will get algae like crazy right where the line is, where the sun comes to. Like there's a spot in the room, and it changes depending on the time of year, obviously, but right now the spot is halfway on this tank, and I literally have an algae problem with diatomaceous algae right to that point. So it's something to keep an eye on. But the reason your plants are turning yellow, my guess would be, unless they're getting burned because they're getting that much sunlight, they're probably actually getting not enough nutrients or not enough carbon to grow at the rate that that light has allowed them to. Patrick Hardy, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate it, right at that 420 mark. Mains, tail, fins, and fur and fins. What's going on, Jess? How are you doing? Good to see you as always. I want to do a little shout out to Jess because Jess has a show on in the mornings on her channel where she's covering kind of news and events that go on in the fish fam, in events going on. And so if you guys haven't checked that out, I say you should. Dare I say. Let's see here. Techno Alice says hi in potash when we were talking about the bong water. Okay. Why can't I get my tank clear? It's cloudy. I water change. I use Seachem to clarify. And AccuRLF just added Purigen and got cloudier. Stop adding stuff would be my advice. So just do a good water change. Do 90, well, don't do 90% at once unless you got hardy fish like maybe like Danios or Tetras or something that likes that, or I mean, if you have rainbow fish or something, you can do that too. The vast reason, the vast majority of the time, the reason you get a cloudy tank is because you either created too much bacteria with nitrates, nitrogen, ammonia, and they're eating it in the water column. And usually the water column is kind of reserved for not having that. Hey, Patrick, thank you again. We got another super chat, 199. I really appreciate it, brother. And the other reason is that you have too much bacteria that's good bacteria for nitrates and nitrites. So remember, you have two different species of bacteria growing in big colonies in your average aquarium. I mean, you have hundreds of species of bacteria, but two that are breaking down nitrates, or one that's breaking down nitrates, one that's breaking down nitrites. When you're talking about the oxygenated top layer of a tank, there's others down in the substrate, in the anoxic level, and in the anaerobic level that work differently, and they need iron or carbon, and they do a whole different process. But that's for a filterless tank, deep substrate talk. But so if you have a hang off the back filter or a cartridge filter or something like that, where you have filter floss or a big old sponge in there, you have bacteria that are growing on all the surface area that they possibly can. And if you had a bunch of fish in there, say you have 15 fish and they eat X amount and you feed them X amount, they're going to eat that every day, and anything left over, that bacteria is going to try to process and eat that excess ammonia out of the water. Now, same with whatever they're eating and then pooping out, they are creating ammonia, urea, and other byproducts that need to be broken down to be less toxic by that bacteria. Well, if all of a sudden you cut back on food, your good bacteria is going to die, and their skeletons happen to be, since they have cell membranes, they have basically, they're just a clear sack of goo with kind of an exoskeleton that's a little rubbery around the whole thing, almost like a water balloon or something. And so you've basically got that water balloon with no organelles left, or the guts inside of the cell, and they're floating around ruptured all over your tank. And so only water changes or time for it to settle is going to cause that to calm down. And that is if it's the dead bacteria. And that would be because for a while you were over supplying nitrates, nitrites, ammonia, and then you've cut back now. But it can also be from adding too many, and then you actually get some of those colonies that are supposed to be on surfaces actually growing onto plants and onto the side of the aquarium, and that's normal. But then they start to grow out into the water. They start to grow on the algae. They try to grow on the little bits of specks of dust and bits of junk in your aquarium, and pretty soon you got a cloudy tank. Well, a lot of times people will then do a big water change. Well, what happens is they drop the nitrates farther, and then all of a sudden they get an even cloudier tank the next day, and then they drop it again. But basically just pick a path and stick with it for a month, for 2 or 3 weeks, and it should even out. But I just pick an easy path that you want to stick with anyways. That's usually my advice. But when you start using all the chemicals, what happens is you kind of get stuck into a feedback loop of those chemicals are going to be the only thing that keep things clear. And the way those chemicals usually work is they add weight to things. There's some that will kill bacteria and things like that, but mostly, or they're algicides or whatever, but they're mostly, if they're for foggy, clear white water. The other thing could be a really high TDS, but you'd see that in your tap water. Like your tap water in a glass of water would be really milky or murky too. So you might want to double check that. That can happen in places like Florida, it can happen anywhere, but I mean, it happens naturally in places with really hard water or limestone, bedrock in the area, things like that. But I just don't think you should use the Purigen and the Seachem Clarify and all that stuff until you've really run out of the other options, and then you try that, because I've just seen where people get really reliant on it, and basically you use it, if you need it, so you use it, and then it comes back slowly if you don't dose, because that's the only thing keeping it in check. And so why not have the tank itself equalize out and organically, naturally keep itself in check? But let's see here. Has anyone ever had a tailless shrimp? I have not. Have you heard of Paracaridina shrimp? Yes, I have heard of them. Are there any local that's Sean, welcome. Are there any local blackworm breeders in the greater Seattle area? I don't know of any. Steve Ward maybe in the Seattle Greater Aquarium Society. I know he does like Daphnia and stuff like that year round, white worms, Walther worms, but no, I don't know of anybody doing blackworms. They're notorious for being stinky where you have to keep them, and then they're also kind of notorious for getting nematode parasites that then can get passed on to your fish. So a lot of people kind of stay away from them, unfortunately. But when you can get a good source of them, they're great. It's just a lot of times the farms also get contaminated, and so a lot of the local aquarium shops have gotten taught the lesson the hard way, that you can get tapeworms and stomach worms and things like that easily. Kay, great question. Has anyone been able to keep a dwarf tiger lotus leaf small? So let me first say that yes, the leaves on those plants are supposed to get on a normal tiger lotus or tiger lily type plant are supposed to be the size of a dinner plate ish. And let me show you real quick. So there's 2 ways you can keep a plant small if you want. The first way is to give it everything in the world that it wants, to give it all the light and all the nutrients and CO2 and all that kind of stuff that it could ever want. Let me turn on the light here. Sorry, guys, you're getting a close-up. And if we turn this around, all right, so see the size of this leaf? This leaf was reaching. Now, this leaf doesn't have enough light, and it's staying small. So it's stunted by the fact that the light's so far away on these, and this is a dwarf tiger lotus or lily right here. So you can get it to stay about this small. I mean, about this palm of your hand, a little bit smaller, and they'll stay this size, these leaves. That's as small as you're probably going to get it. Now, if you want a really small plant that's similar, just get the Nymphea minutia. That's the smallest one. That's the really tiny one. And it usually stays down low in the tank, like down here. So it's been a hot day. It's been 82. So I've just been keeping the lights off and not turning on the fish tank lights until like 3 or 4 most days. But the other thing is, here's a tank that I have that sometimes is cloudy. It has no filter. And so sometimes just adding a little bit of water flow can help. But what's happening here is this tank, when I feed it, it gets a bacterial bloom in the column of water, and it eats that bacteria eats the excess whatever nitrates, food in general, and then from that point the water gets cloudy. But if I do water changes, I can get rid of it. So here we have another plant. This is a full-size one. This isn't even a dwarf one, and I'm keeping it small by using a really cruddy light that's in the blue end of the spectrum. See, there's no red. So it's blue light when it's here, or indirect sunlight from we were just standing out there. But this has stayed like this for about a month. The leaves should be about this big. So that's one of the keeping it dwarf kind of advice regimens that you can do. Now, the other thing you can do, so we've kind of just listed it. So this one's only getting, and I know this is a lot of algae to see through. This one has stayed this size for months. If you've been watching the channel at all, hasn't grown up taller, stayed that size. That's because it's only getting indirect sunlight from outside here. So it has very low nutrients and fertilizers in there because I don't dose it or anything like that. Oh no, I have a dead fish. No. And it's one of the fish I like a lot. That's a bummer. One of my swordtail females is passed. I'll have to look into what happened there later. I'm still looking for a veterinarian that's willing to come on the show and do a necropsy. Oh man, that's a bummer. I wonder if she got too hot. I wonder if the male's even still in there. I wonder. We also have mollies, or I mean, what do you call them? Gouramis in here. Or no, not gouramis, rams, blue rams. And I'm real worried about them now, seeing that. Oh, okay, I see. They're okay. They're back in the corner. I wonder why that happened, if it was just too hot. I mean, the water is really hot today. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, the 2 ways to keep the plants stunted: don't give them any nutrients and give them very little light, or give them a ton of light and a good amount of nutrients. And at a certain point, when they've just bottomed out at the substrate, like there's just nowhere for them to go. I mean, they're at the top of the water, you know, they've gotten to their light, like in the other room, that one is just maxed out. So it's kind of, plants thrive under stress. So really the best place, so to speak, for a plant is stressed out a bit, because then they work harder. I mean, little tears, just like we build muscle, little tears, little breaks, little bits of drought cause plants to grow more and more, healthier and healthier. Oh, wow. We had a $19.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Patrick, we had another super chat. We'll get there. Let's see here. What's the game plan with the Aquascape contest? It ends in a week. Then do we go submit photos? Yeah, so for everybody curious, I think we're going to extend it a month. I just haven't gotten a hold of both judges at the same time, Mridgel and Alan. But I want to extend it. It's my channel, so I think we will. Now, that being said, we'll probably just extend it to like September 9th or 10th, something in there, and I'll make an announcement in a video. But in the directions, when you fill out the first form, it said to go and fill out the second form at the end. And the second form was in all the videos where the first form was posted. So hopefully, you know what that is because you guys already entered with one. So, but I'll probably repost it around that too. Uh, I don't have a ton of advice with them. Unfortunately, I haven't had a ton of good luck breeding them. I have bred them, but they just didn't. They didn't. What's the word? They didn't flourish. They just kind of existed, and so I wouldn't consider myself a good person to talk to, honestly. By the way, look at how big these Turkana jewel cichlids have gotten now. They're so mean to each other. They're so mean to everything. They've wrecked every plant in their tank other than the moss. And they're just like little sharks, even the little ones. And then the rainbow fish and the puffer combo still going strong. The puffers are looking a little skinny. And so I am a little concerned about that, about where they're getting their food from. And if the rainbow fish are kind of pushing them out of the way, because we've got a live snail here and nobody's gone for it. So that's a bit interesting in that usually they wouldn't leave a live snail, you know? So yeah, all right, let's see here. Alex, I have one tetra with a very small white spot on the mouth. Should I put it in quarantine? Yes, I would put it in quarantine immediately. Anything that has white spots or fuzzy spots or anything like that, get it into a quarantine tank. Treat it really well in the quarantine tank. And I've been doing, like I've been saying, I've had some quarantine tanks up here where I haven't even run oxygen. Some I started running oxygen as an experiment, but I've got these quarantine tanks and basically I'll put a fish in, and I've found that if you feed them, if you can get live mosquito larvae by just leaving a tub outside and letting them, you know, reproduce out in a tub in your backyard or whatnot. There's the balloon rams that I rescued from Petco, or PetSmart, I should say. They're really pretty. They're finally getting to be adult size. I wonder what killed that molly. That's really gonna bug me. Or sorry, platy. It was very large. It was adult, definitely, when I got it. So I'm kind of curious about that. But yeah, so what I would put it in quarantine and then treat it really well. Give it catappa leaves. Give it fresh water that's moving, and give it anything else you can think of to make it comfy. And make sure the water doesn't have any nitrates or nitrites in it. And if it's ick, you'll kind of examine by its gills, and if its gills look really red and inflamed, it could be ick. Man, look at this tank. It's gotten so dense that I need to trim it really badly. I need to find someone to, ideally I'd like to sell some of this. A lot of these plants are really rare. But yeah, I was letting them grow immersed so you guys could see some of the different immersed, like here's an immersed Rotala rotundifolia. And I was going to take pictures for you guys then too. The odd thing, Logging Under Me Bullseye is doing pretty good. The silver one, which for a while it kept being dwarfed. And I think it was because I gave it too much light. So I've been leaving this light off. And because of that, all these plants, see, they've come up out of the water and started reaching for this front light. Just as this lily tries to put all its energy into reaching this front light, just as all these plants are trying to reach for this front bar of light. But usually I angle my lights all the way back to here. Like I'll put the light sitting farther back so that the plants kind of grow at an angle away from you. And so that you kind of have this effect of being drawn into the tank, if that makes sense. Holy cow, we got Patrick. It just keeps throwing down the super stickers. Thank you very much, sir. But yeah, put it in a tank, and if it doesn't get better in, say, 2 or 3 days, or if it starts to get significantly worse, you can put a little air stone in there, and some plants for sure, and some tannins. That would replicate its natural habitat pretty well. We'll go look at the tubs outside too. But I would say that usually, in my experience, the odds of the of the fish surviving, unless it's ick or a fungal or a bacterial treatment. Even then, the acidity in the catappa leaves or tannins will help get rid of that. However, in some cases that are severe, or like columnaris, things like that, velvet, you're not going to get rid of it with just natural cures. And so that's when you need to bring in, general cure and or antifungal, like API fungal cure or general cure. And sometimes X or one of those works too. I wanted to just show you guys how bright my my rosy barbs are, or rose barbs, I should say. These are a half and half rose barb, and just being outside, they're this bright, looking really good, better than I've ever seen them look indoors. Even the females have gold bellies and silver tops or golden tops, and they're real baggers. There's no aeration in the tank, as you can see. There's no filtration, and there's actually a glass bottom. That was the test for this summer here, was to see how they do with a glass bottom. Whereas all these other tanks have either gravel or sand or something, all these other containers, and the ones on the side of the house. But they're doing well, and they've had babies, and I've been grabbing the babies out and putting the babies in here. Gets a little warm in the day, so I also have some inside in some of those little tanks up top. And we've got all these plants that I collected, these native plants, growing immersed now. And I think they look pretty cool. Here's that one with the purple arrows on it. And then this is the Ludwigia palustris. And there's a Ludwigia inclinata in there. A few other interesting ones. The duckweed and the azolla, which the duckweed's native, but the azolla is not. Is there any way to find out if my tank has parasites before introducing fish into it? You had an outbreak of hydra and planaria. Just wanted to make sure before adding. Mohammed, so those aren't really parasites technically. I mean, they are predatory they're micro predators, really. So with hydra and planaria are there because there's too much extra food. So you're overfeeding your tank most likely, or something's dying, or the water quality is too low, and you're getting some sort of issue with that, and they're eating like the plant debris. So like the buildup of the mulm is not your bacteria is not breaking it down quick enough, and nor do you have any sort of copepods or little isopods or any sort of worms or any little critters at the bottom of the food chain that are breaking it down. All the little tiny creepy crawlies and bugs and bacteria and fungi. If your tank is full of good fungi and bacteria, then there's not room for the bad as much, and it stays kind of balanced. Whereas if there isn't any room, and it's or if there's a bunch of room but it's all new, and there's nothing there yet, really, it's easy for a monoculture of the harmful ones that are actually really prevalent in our hobby to come in on different items and end up infecting your tank. What's in the cooler? But you could always get some a dewormer or fenbendazole, flubendazole, levamisole, any of those, and dose the tank, and that'll kill the hydra, and it probably should kill the planaria. So you could always do that. So you could get one of the dewormers, one of the anti-parasite drugs, and do that if you really want to. I wouldn't worry about it. Hydra are kind of something that comes along with the territory, and I've noticed that once you beat hydra, once you have them flare up and you cut back on food, and or you get like some sparkling gouramis or something that eats them, like a little scarlet batis or something, Guppies even will eat them. Now, most of these fish won't eat them if you're feeding heavily. So you got to feed your fish very lightly. People overfeed their fish all the time. Don't feed your fish every day unless it's, you know, a growing fry fish, or you're trying to fatten it up, or you have a really good filtration system getting rid of that excess, or it's in a big tank with excess room for all the breakdown, because you're just creating excess food matter for something, and something will move in. Life will find a way. Cheers with the Dr. Pepper. Right back at you. What's in the cooler? Let's see here. I know I'm a little behind. Let me try to catch up faster. The fish are Buenos Aires Tetris, says Ray. Oh, okay. That are in your cloudy tank. Okay. T-Bone, what's going on? Good to see you, mate. Brad, what just happened? My chat just went crazy on me. Just jumped on me. Just jumped on top of me. Never seen a chat jump on top of me. Okay. Laura, thank you so much. So you were the 1999. You get a thank you, and you get a thank you, and you get a thank you. Thank you, Zen, for also throwing out all the links and all that jazz, all the jazz, all the jazz, all the jazz hands. The other thing is, thanks for that super chat, because I'm streaming all this month via the Wi-Fi or the cell signal, hence why I'm not sitting at the microphone. I do have my little lav mic with the headphones that I got that actually works all right. I think I sound pretty clear probably. But my data is going to be, it's like for every gig, and streaming's usually like 2 gigs or something for an hour and a half or whatever. Yeah, it's like $10 a gig or something, after $9.99 a gig after I go over. It's really silly. And then I can usually argue with them, and they'll just upgrade my whole thing to the most expensive phone account that Verizon has, and then like 2 of the charges. But Comcast, I've been arguing with them, and I don't know what it is. I have my own router. I have my own modem. We have the fastest package they have. We're getting an extender, even though we shouldn't need that for a 2-bedroom house, especially when I'm sitting next to it, or when I'm plugged in, when my laptop's plugged in, hardwired the old school way. Granted, that could be why it's slow, just because that's an old laptop that has that ability, whereas the new laptop doesn't freeze quite as much. But obviously I want to figure that out. As much as I like being able to stream and go out into the, like when we've been out collecting and streaming, that's been fun. But it's just killing the data thing. And I have the endless data, but it's not really endless. Okay. I have highlight, no tank toppers. This really can be my issue. Okay, I have a highlight, no tank toppers. I don't know. You have highlight, no tank toppers. I'm confused by that one. Okay, sorry, I don't know what, like no lid, or what are you saying RIP to? All right, let's see here. John, hello, good morning from Australia. G'day. Fishbox, hello. C Sharp, what's up? Good morning in the UK. Anarchy in the UK, sleep in the UK. A month. Great news for me. I have a teeny little immersed sprouts right now. Yeah, we'll do another month. I don't care. I'll get a hold of the guys and tell them that that's the way it's going to be. Just because everybody's asking for another month. So we'll do another month on the contest. So it'll be like around September 10th. I'll look at the calendar and see what day works well. Carolyn, hello. How are you? Let's see here. All right, let me get closer to live. Patrick Hardy with all the stickers, boy. Texas Fish says, my tank is really to be judged. I busted my butt to get it really in time. It will probably just look better by then. Okay, well, that's good. Wow, we got bees. I don't know why they just showed up. I had 3 bees all arrive at once, so I'm leaving. That was weird. Not the good kind of bees either, the bald face hornets that just are mean for the sake of existing. So the other immersed growth stuff that we had going on, let me turn this around again. Mick says, just got offered to buy 21 species of killies, 2 rice fish, also pairs of betta. What do I do? Pleasant but hard decision. Buy them. Buy them, dude. If you don't have anybody telling you not to, do it. I don't know. 21 species of killies is a lot. Are they like eggs or something? Like in shoe boxes that somebody's getting rid of? Banner is covering the screen. Yes, it is. Let me get that gone. Miss Heaven backwards. Whoa, interesting. Joshua. Oh, okay, never mind. It selected that. That's interesting. Has anyone played around with using USVB bulbs on fish indoors? I used to. I haven't in a long time. I don't know where things stand, so I'm not the best person to ask. More of an opinion question. What tetra would you say goes best with the planted 20-gallon with black or with blue background, lemon, silver tip, serpe, or cardinal? What tetra would you say goes best? Planted 20-gallon with a blue background. Cardinals always look really good for a pop. You want to keep them with honey gouramis. So if you've already got honey gouramis, get the sunset honey gouramis with the bright yellow. Those are really beautiful. The males will get kind of a dirty looking chest, like kind of a silver color, whereas the females will actually turn kind of a beautiful rosy peach color. And the males can do that too, but that just tends to be the case. And pygmy cories and shrimp. Well, those honey gouramis sometimes go after the shrimp. So give them lots of hiding spots. They'll probably be okay, but give them lots of hiding spots. And then the other thing I would say is, so if you've already got yellow, I would use a hint of yellow. So what I think would be great are the Von Rio tetras that are the half yellow, half red ones, or some of the orange-eyed lemon tetras, if you can find them, that have the blood or the orange. They have red eye and orange eye, but either one of those are incredible too. They actually turn full on like banana yellow, or even yellower than, more orangey yellow than that. Those are good options. Ember tetras would be another one to consider, because ember tetras will school with the, instead of getting pygmy cories, get Corydora histatus or hebrosis, and reed tetras, kitty tetras, and ember tetras all school together. I don't know why. They do live in the same areas, some of them, but they all school together and they make a really delightful little scene. But I know you don't want to go crazy with in a 20-gallon, you know, because those gouramis are going to hang out up top if they're healthy and happy, and the tetras will move around the midwater, and the cories should hang around the bottom, and then at night they'll do their up and down thing. Cherry, what's going on? Yes, those are bass, Ian. Those are those bass that I took pictures of in the community tab. Under the members tab, there's more pictures, and I actually bumped up the color about 15% in just by clicking up on contrast in whatever app I was using, the photo editing app. But it allowed me to show you guys basically what I saw in the sunlight then at the time that I couldn't capture on film. And then I have the actual picture posted too. Same under the NANFA group, the North American Native Fish Channel. Same deal there. Muppet, what's up? Good to see everybody in here tonight. So good to see everybody. Got to head out 3B Aquatics. All right, you have a good one. Oh wow, Mick, right on. Mick M. All are young pairs of killies, right on. Yeah, you gotta get 5 or 6 species. I mean, why don't you get like one, you know, Galaris, and one, you know, get a couple, like maybe 2 or 3 annuals and 2 or 3 you know, non-annuals. I don't know. That might be a good way to do it. Richard Barr, Keeper's Friend cleanser with magic eraser. Oh yeah, that's great. Great advice from Zen. Is there a disease by serial infection? I don't know that word. Disease, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna assume it might be a typo, or I just don't know the word. But in any case, is there a something disease infection specific to Corydora? I have lost 6 out of 8 in the past 3 weeks. Yes, because they are a now I can't remember the name, unfortunately, because it's long and I just looked at it and was like, yeah, I'm not gonna remember that, and just didn't attempt to. But I've had that happen with plecos and cories in the same tank. Now, any of the skin-eating or necrotizing bacterias can really do damage on those armored fish because, yes, they're armored, but in between the plates of armor, they have kind of, you know, holes or chinks in the armor where those things can get in. And same with the soft tissues if they get any cuts around their face. And that's why I think people oftentimes confuse. People think that cories are just ripping up their barbels on the barbels, their barbels, on the substrate of their tank, and that's actually more uncommon. They'll do that when they have to hunt for food, when they have to like dig for worms, or if they're excited and it's rough substrate on top of it. Then that happens sometimes, but most of the time you could put lava rock on the bottom that's sharp, and they're not going to like cut themselves just by hanging out. They may get nervous and try to burrow under the substrate because they're scared or startled, or because they're so hungry and hunting worms, live worms. If you put blackworms in there or something, those are the ways I've seen them hurt themselves. But what happens is they get a little nick, that nick gets infected, and it gets, you know, it starts to look like their whole face got torn up, and it's a necrotizing bacteria that just eats the flesh. And usually on fish, when you get that, you see their slime coat come off as like a light white clear area, almost like a burn or a skin that's healing on you after you've cut yourself, and you get the clear skin on the kind of like watery area that's like looks like it's bleeding, but it's not actually bleeding, if you guys know what I'm talking about, like under a scab when a scab comes off. And then after that, you'll actually start to see it digging into the actual deeper tissue, unfortunately. From what I've seen, gram negative is not effective against it. So erythromycin sometimes is, but usually the ones I've seen are resistant to that. So I would go with something that's not erythromycin based or erythromycin based. Erythromycin, sorry guys, that's a fish. Erythromycin based. I would go with a gram positive still, though, you know, like a penicillin or something, you know, like that, that you can find at the pet storage, or just Google gram positive antibiotic, because usually, not always, but usually it's about the way that the two bacteria stain under lab conditions with different reagent dyes. But gram positive in general is for open air wounds, so cuts, things in your mouth that also have air or food activity near them, water getting in them. And then gram negatives generally internal, so like your spleen or your liver, or a subdermal infection of some sort. Richard McCarthy, hey Alex, about 6. Okay, wait, Ginger already got you on that one. Yeah. Snakeskin barbs. They're a bit nippy, but they're not bad. Amano shrimp just kind of like to die for a living. A Height says, no, you know, Amano shrimp, they're one of the hardier shrimp, honestly. But that being said, with any shrimp, I noticed the learning curve is hard, or the adjustment curve, so to speak, of where they'll prosper. So if they do good in the first week, they're probably going to do good for years. You probably won't be able to kill them by neglect if you tried. But if they don't do well in shipping, or they don't do well in those first few days, there's a really good chance they're just not going to do well that batch anyways. Now, sometimes that's a shipper or sourcing's fault, and they've just been stressed on their journey. Other times it's just, you know, your water parameters. But a mono, as long as your nitrates aren't high, I mean, they're really flexible in that they can be in hard water, soft water, because they also go out to salt water to breed. So their babies are born, and then they get washed out in the stream down into the fresh water. And from there, they eat plankton and do their thing as little planktony things, as zooplankton, basically. And then they come back as shrimp and work their way up into the streams and fresh water again, which is a long cycle for a shrimp, but common. All right, let's see here. Micro World, hello, welcome. Let's see, let me get back down to the bottom. Up. Man, my sciatic nerve is hurting today. Did you notice any difference in color when using UVB bulbs? Yes, UVA and B I would use in combo back in the day. I had a project where I was growing herbs. Let's go with herbs. Tomatoes when I was in college. And I had an aquaponics setup, and I was growing these tomatoes with clay pellets beads. By the way, I think this is going to be thunder. It's like 80 some degrees, and it looks like we've got rain coming. Here, that's not common. Look at the freaking updrafts going on here. You can actually make them out going up into the clouds. So there's some crazy updrafts. So here, that means that, just a little weather lesson if you were interested, which might not be, but there's dust in the air right now from forest fires. So all summer long, we haven't had rain, really. And now that there's this smoke and particulate matter in the air that's been hazy all day, you can actually see some of the blue sky peeking through. And it's because every little piece of dust and smoke, which is just, you know, ash, little pieces of ash, are carbon or whatever it may be, are nucleation points for water. And so water and ice crystals up in the upper atmosphere, or up in the atmosphere, I should say, not the upper atmosphere necessarily, form around that. And so every single raindrop has a speck of dust in the center that stuff formed around. And right now you can see, I mean, it just must be intense. That's probably a mile between there and there. I'm just guessing by how far the cloud is and how much they're moving. And so, you know, that's probably 5,000 feet. And the way it's swirling and how fast it's moving, I mean, you've got winds probably 150, 200 miles an hour going on up there, updrafts. And that takes the ice crystals that formed around a nucleation point, they fall down. And then all of a sudden, you've got ice crystals coming to Earth. They start to melt. But as they're falling, other ones are coming up in the updraft parallel to it. Because see, we've got a downdraft right here. If you can see where the bends are going down, downdraft. Right here, we've got some serious updrafts going up into that hole in the clouds. And so I'll probably go inside in a moment, just with my luck and lightning. But I wanted to show you guys this real quick. So again, these were some local plants I forage. These rice fish have not had any freaking babies since spring. They had 7 or 8 babies in spring, and that was it. I don't know if I don't have any females or what happened. No, I should. There's still the same amount, so I should. And then this is an oxalis, like kind of clover plant type thing that is not supposed to like water, but it's growing in a bucket of water, and it's got these little buttercup blooms on it, and that's with the creeping Jenny that's in the yard that we were just standing next to by all the tanks. The creeping Jenny, and then the Ludwigia inclinata, or no, palistris, sorry, growing up there. And then there's another one I can't recall the name of, but this one's flowering and everything. And I am spacing on the name of it too. But cool plants. That one's not a true subaquatic. Or aquatic, I should say. It's a emergent. So it needs to be underwater for the roots, but the top needs to not be. So I'm actually just taking a look out here. Yeah, check out those clouds. Those are not happy clouds for the northwest. So you can see all the waves in the clouds. Yeah, I'll go inside. What's the recommendation for 20-gallon long for floating plant? I've been using red root floaters, but they're just not as nice as they were when I first got them 11 months ago. See, this is the area of higher pressure. The area of low pressure is exactly where everything is getting sucked up into the clouds. So we could even get some rotation, because up over the mountains, there's mountains here, the Cascades. Over there, there's mountains too, the Olympics. We got mountains everywhere around here. But it's interesting. We could start to see a hooked echo, and little trailers like right here, little trails from the clouds, start to actually get they get they don't have turbulence in the upper atmosphere with them. Let's turn this around again. And when they don't have that and they get the cyclonic action, they then can turn into basically it looks like a wave rolling in up in the atmosphere, and then they'll turn 180 degrees, or not 180 degrees, but 90 degrees. And so you'll get the wave, instead of rolling like this above you parallel to the ground, it starts rolling and twisting down to the earth, and that's where you get your tornadoes from. We don't get strong tornadoes here, but we do get the start of tornadoes, especially over Woodby Island where redfish, bluefish is. And I'm back under the cover of the actual garage area right now. Son of Quack says, yeah, it seems like my Amano don't really eat hair algae either. Hair algae, no, not so much. They don't eat the thick, like Marimo mossball type hair algae. They will eat the green filamentous algae, especially if it's light. The problem is it just goes so fast that unless you literally have 50 to 100 shrimp in there, they're not going to keep up with it. Alyssa says, ever think exactly how much indoor plant growing tech we have thanks to the basement tomato growers? Yes, I do think about that a lot. You know, Michael Pollan has a book, if you guys know who he is, great author and biologist, botanist. But he did, was he the one who did the Omnivore's Dilemma too? But he also did, he's done a bunch of great books. I'm just spacing on the names of them at the moment. But in any case, he came out with a book recently that was about stuff he could grow, and he grew like opium poppies, and he grew pot, and he grew, you know, just all this stuff he grew in his garden, and food and all this other stuff too, and dyes and other things. But it was about like stuff you could grow at home, do it yourself stuff. And he kind of gets into some of that, which is interesting. And if you want, the last live stream I did, there's a link to, it's not on this video because I didn't want to hound you guys all the time, but now that it came up in my head, there's a link to Audible. And if you try that out for free, you get 2 free book downloads, and it's free for 30 days. And then you get to keep the books afterwards. So you could probably find any one of his books on there, audio books, and it kicks $3 to the channel, even if you cancel. So it's an easy way if you don't have money to give, but you would like to help out in some way. It's an easy way to help channels in general. So just follow the link on any of my videos that mention Audible in the description underneath the video window. All right, guys. Well, yeah, the thing about the basement tomatoes is they don't grow very well. with a fish tank. You really got to supercharge the nitrates and the fertilizer. The lights and everything, you can get that dialed in. You can get them to grow, don't get me wrong. It's the flowering stage. Usually you end up with really loose flowers, which why would that matter with tomatoes, Alex? But in any case, do you have any wild bettas? Yes, I have some right now that are really small, and you would think that they just look like fry. But they're I can't even remember the name of them. It starts with an M, and it's like Maricopium or something like that. I'll have to look it up again. But somebody just dropped them off and gave them to me, gave me 4 of them, and I thought that was really kind. And so someone in my fish club. So I'm growing those out to see how it goes. Yeah, I know. Natural aquariums, we do need rain for sure. Zen Ginger, thanks for all you do. You rock. Hello, Brad. I just like doing that. Yeah, young Amano shrimp, Mick is right. Young Amano shrimp will definitely eat a lot more. They're just putting on weight, and so they'll eat a lot more algae types. Now, all of them will groom through any type of algae, including diatomaceous algae. They'll go on the glass and kind of peck at it with their hands. It's just they're not going to be able to get the diatomaceous algae. You need like nearite snails or something for that. Cassie B, what's going on? Good to see you. What's my opinion using stress coat as a dechlorinator since it has aloe? Is aloe safe? I think aloe's fine. The thing that I was reading is that some of the dechlorinator, some of the so they all work with the sulfur ring, molecule, the way like basic organic chemistry. They're like there's benzene rings, there's just the sulfur ring. That is the basis for all of those dechlorinators. You probably know about this, Cass, more than I do, even like by far. But something about the aloe has something that it will also latch on there. So there's a some of the dechlorinator gets wasted on some of the byproducts in the aloe. They're not Machaensis bettas. No, I wish they were. I had some of those. They died when they jumped out of the tank quickly 2 years ago. They're a really rare one. Replacement for red root floaters. Yeah. I would do, Azolla can look nice. If you keep your water alkaline for guppies or whatever, then it's going to turn a nice bluish purpley kind of tone, like almost like a turquoise and purple tone. If you keep your water neutral, it'll be a crimsony purpley tone, and if you keep your water acidic, it'll be a blood red tone. And that's kind of fun. It does need a good amount of light usually. But like here's some Azolla, like it doesn't get any direct light here. And you can see it's a little more turquoisey. It's a little more alkaline in this one. A little more greens and blues hues. Whereas earlier in the summer when it was getting direct sunlight, it was turning blood red. And I showed that in the streams a few times. Like the stuff over in the other pots has some blood red in it. But if you don't like that, frog bit, you could use duckweed. It's a great one for nitrates and things, but it's just you're never going to get rid of it. It's quite the chore to get rid of all your duckweed. If you decide to go down that road, it really is a bit of a pain. I think that, water lettuce is nice, mini water lettuce. And also there's a Ludwigia called the mosaic plant. That's its common name. And that is awesome. If you can get that Ludwigia, you can buy it online. It's really pretty. You just might want to double check on what the lighting requirements are. I haven't had it in a long time. I seem to recall them being high. But it's really pretty, and it just grows in this. It looks like an old batik like you know, shawl or wall hanging or something like a tapestry. Best vacation food for shrimp and snails, 10 days, Venom H. Great question. You know, I was actually, it is the Minopina. That's it. That's it. That's it. My words were totally off. Thank you. Kind all night. That's it. Those are the bettas I have. I've got 4 of them. They're very small. They're like super small right now. Let's see here. But Venom was asking vacation. Honestly, I don't feed snails or shrimp when I go on vacation. Now, granted, I usually go for a week. I've only gone on a 10-day vacation twice since I've had shrimp in the last decade or whatever. So if you could get someone to come in and feed them one day, even, that would probably suffice. Or if you have indirect sunlight, that will suffice. That will give them enough algae. People really have gotten to the point where now there's an industry of all the things we do for our shrimp and our bettas and our, you know, and our nano fish and whatever. And if you have a tank that's well seasoned, well cycled, you have so many little bugs, critters, algae, plankton, fungi, bacteria that they can eat. I mean, I just put some leaves in a week before you leave, and then one more leaf in right when you leave, and maybe some Bacter AE, and that would probably take care of your snails and shrimp for a month, honestly, unless you have like hundreds in there. But that would be my recommendation. Hey, Irish Hamster Man, good to see you, buddy. Did he say duckweed? I should have listened. Don't do it. The American Marines of the water plant family. Yeah, they're coming and they will not be defeated. Nigel, what's up? It's a 10-gallon, big enough for... Oh, wait, I missed what Irish Hamsterman said. Irish Hamsterman. I can't say it right today. I'm not even... I shouldn't have even tried. I apologize to all of Ireland for that one. What did I... Where did I lose the comments? Yeah, Vancouver's an awesome city. Vancouver, BC is a beautiful city. Just don't go to East Hastings unless you like the seedy side of town. Oh yeah, Rico, any of the Ricardia or Rachia, like fluitins or natans, any of that stuff. It's cool. It doesn't grow real well on the top of the water unless there's the edge of something or a stick or a rock that's submerged. They really grow well around immersed areas, and then they'll grow out from there about 1 inch to 2 inches if you give them some time. But if you just try to set it in your tank, you're not gonna have it's not gonna grow well. If you have CO2, it might grow like on one of those wire mats or something, but really it likes that, like it likes to be able to breathe the air above the water line and then access the nutrients in the water. The Rikias do. If I was living in the US, I would let you do a giveaway 3 pairs of Ginja rubra guppies. Ooh, nice. Jinga? Is it Jinja or Jinga? Oh wow, Petraman, young 6-month-old discus are having eggs already. Nice, right on. Caroline, hello from the UK also. You guys have any cool centerpiece fish for a 20-gallon that like hard water? Mollies, paradise fish can usually take that as long as it's not super hard. And then if you're going real hard, I mean Tanganyikan fish. What else? But yeah, I'd say the paradise fish or a swordtail or a molly. Some of them are pretty elaborate now. Or like some of the interesting German swordtails are really pretty too. Son of Quack, your sink doesn't fit pythons. Mine doesn't either, so I got the adapter and I was like, sweet, hack the system, I win. And then realized that it made the pressure like 3 times higher. There's some, I don't know, my buddy who was a plumber was like, don't you know about the Venturi something ratio flow theorem? I'm like looking at him like, no, why would I know about that? But basically, like as the diameter goes down, the pressure goes up exponentially, kind of thing. And it literally blew out my sink, the thing on the sink. Yeah, sail fins, those are another cool one. Oh, sailfin tetras. Kevin Rosenberg. Hey, Alex, just got some sailfin tetras for a 75-gallon blackwater. Incredible fish. Yeah, those are really cool fish. Kind of unusual. They're really unlike most of their relatives. You guys are funny. You make me laugh. Rico Stan, no question, but a statement instead. You're awesome. Oh, thanks, Rico. I appreciate it. Fish Miss Santa. By the way, I heard y'all have gotten over 2K together for Fishmas Rico style, where he's gonna go around the streams and give away goodies out of his grab bag. $50 goodies for each channel, I believe, that's involved. I think. But the more money, the more problems. So why don't we give Rico a bunch of problems? And if you want to be involved in that and watch those Christmas streams around that time, I think we're going to do it before Christmas, though, is what he was saying. Then look at Mr. Rico Stan and throw some dollars at him. I had an Endler male die yesterday. It sat at the bottom of the tank all day, breathing heavy, and other Endlers and a mono are fine. Male, okay. It could have gotten injured by another male. When they breathe heavy like that at the bottom, that means that they're real unwell and they're not getting oxygen, obviously, because of the breathing heavy. Usually, endlers and guppies and those things, they'll be able to at least regulate themselves to get themselves up, like their air bladder, or swim at least to get to the top, and they'll gasp at the top for air when it's something like ammonia poisoning or something like that, or something environmental or a parasite in their gills. But there could be that he had flukes in his gills and wasn't able to breathe, or it could also be something internally like parasites that were filling up and pushing on everything, including his air bladder, swim bladder, so he couldn't get to the surface. I would investigate for parasites in the rest of the tank, like worms or any sort of like little nematode that could have been in there, or like I said, the external parasites, flukes. That would be my only guess of something that could affect the others. But I would say just watch carefully for now. And if anybody else starts acting funny or getting bright red gills, also if you've got the dead fish, pull back the gills and see if there's little white strips on them. Hold on one sec, guys. My wife needs me.
There's like thunderstorm warnings.
I saw them. Okay. Join me, honey.
Hi.
What? Oh, it's just you. So my wife says I have to end this.
I did not.
She said I hate fish. She said I only like gouramis. What did you say, honey?
Well, there's a my face looks weird through this camera.
You look cute.
There's a thunderstorm warning.
Put that on.
So he needs to go inside.
Mom says I have to go inside, guys. She doesn't want me to get hit by lightning again. So those clouds that we were staring at, where I said, hey guys, look, it looks like that could be lightning. It is, and there's alerts going off locally, like the storm, you know, alerts that say like seek shelter. So I'm going to do that, and I hope you all have a lovely night. We had a great chat, good hour and a half stream tonight. Really good. Sea Monster Fish Gal 503, all y'all. Really good to see everybody. I'll be back Friday 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. And you know, as much as I was honored that to have that time with around Lucas and with Danikin handing over his time to me there, and Danny also her, I have to say it's a little late, and I feel like a lot of y'all are missing it. I mean, I feel like I don't mind doing one late stream, but maybe like midweek late stream works better. I don't know. Something about the Friday stream, I feel like we have a very different crowd. Maybe it's just taking time. I'll do it a little longer probably, but there's overlap too, and I don't like it when I have to like quit at a certain time because somebody's ready to stream right after me. So if there's any time when I could just ramble a little longer, that lets me interact with you guys a lot more. And I know there's a ton of streamers now, and so I've been trying to be conscious of that, but I can't keep straight when everybody goes. I've had the same Tuesday and Saturday is what it used to be, but for 3 years off and on. I mean, I'll miss one here or there, but I think it's time that, why do I have the headphones on still? I think it's time that I switch it up a little bit. But yeah, again, I'll wait a little while before I do that, and I'll let you guys know. All right, I'm going to stay safe. I love that Randy used the emoji from being a member with the lightning. Yeah, exactly. The UK wants to get involved. We have a lot of viewers on this channel, like 22% are UK. So, yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to go inside and probably get dinner ready too and stuff like that. So have a wonderful evening, everyone. Where does everybody buy their Daphnia in the US? Really, you got to come, you got to meet someone at your local club or buy eggs. But they're not a big thing here like they are in other countries. I don't know why. They should be. We should sell them like over the counter, you know, or whatever at pet stores, but that's not happening yet. Although I do, with Aquatic Arts, I do have plans in the works. They sell scuds at a high price, but that's to establish a colony. It's fine. You know, $10 or $15 or whatever it is. And Aquatic Arts should be back to normal pretty soon. They've moved now, and thank you guys again for the helping them sell out of pretty much everything. Almost no fish had to be put into temporary housing or anything, and it's because you guys rock. It's because, you know, their customers and everything, including y'all, rocked it out with that sale. And yeah, but unfortunately the US is just behind on the live food thing. Some pet stores will sell the extra baby brine shrimp for things they feed specially, but that's usually a local chain, and you kind of have to know the people and that they do that. But yeah, they really did sell out like all but like 20 things at Aquatic Arts, like all the things. I know people say they're always sold out, but really they do. Alex, people are going to watch who they want to watch. Do you? Yeah, you're right. That's true. I just feel like I miss some people that are like overlapping and they're friends with both of us, you know, or I have friends in both of them. And so if there's a time that does work where I'm not what so-called competing, then no hard feelings. You know, like Fisher and Fever, I kind of overlap them, and I always felt bad about that. So, because I really like their content too, and I'd like to watch their content. But so when that happens, I feel like I'm talking too much and stuff. But I'll figure it out. I'll sort it out. I like the Tuesday Saturday model a little bit better than the Wednesday or Tuesday and then Friday model. We'll see. If you guys have a strong opinion either way, let me know. And again, if you didn't hear it, I've made an executive decision. I'm going to extend the contest. I'll get a hold of Alan and Marigel and let them know. But the Aquascape thing is going to be another month, because a lot of people just have requested it. Like probably 20 people have requested it now out of the 88 that I think are in the contest. So stay tuned for that. And if you guys ever want to talk about that or suggest a subject, especially for members and you know, Patreon people they're there, I mean, use those perks. I mean, I'll listen to everyone that I can, but priority goes to members and things. But I'm all ears if you guys want to talk about something specific. If you guys are all talking in another stream about something and we want to continue the talk, things like that, just let me know. These live streams, I want one of them a week definitely to be devoted to trying to get your questions answered thoroughly. And then the other live stream to be more of like a topic where I'm leading the talk, and then we can ask questions about that after. But that's just kind of how I'd like to see this framework in the future. All right, guys, we'll have a great night. Thank you so much, people watching and lurking, people chatting, my mods, thank you. Awesome. And, you know, stay safe. Take care of your critters. Have a great night and a great summer. And I will talk to you again soon. Also, last thing, if you watch this and you want to leave a comment after the fact or come back, are you tired of the native fish stuff that I'm doing? I'm just really trying to get to learn it, and I have to obsess and be out there every day and doing it. That's just how I learn best. So I'm going to keep doing it, but it's a matter of if you guys want to keep coming along for the ride in the videos, or if I should start getting back to some other videos. Because actually one of the videos I was going to make is on my board of videos to make, my whiteboard, is do I need to feed my pet snails and shrimp? And I have some interesting opinions about that. So make a whole video. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. Take care. Like I said, be kind to each other, be kind to yourselves. And we're a community here, so lean on one another if you need anything. Thanks again, guys. Thanks again, super chatters, members, all you awesome people. Take care. Bye.